Hey there, this is Kim Hale with Adventures in Polymer Clay. I've been having a great time making these fun little Mobius beads. I usually am a caner, and so I've been making them with cane slices, but I've got a couple of weddings coming up, and I needed something to match my dress. It's purple. And so I thought, why not try doing a silk screen and making a Mobius bead with that? And bringing out the silver seems to go better than gold with the purple. I love the Sculpey silk screens. So when you do a silk screen, you've got to do a whole sheet. And I just have gone crazy with these beads. I've even rolled up some beads like the paper beads. And it's been kind of fun. So I thought I would quickly show you what I've been doing. And if you like it, great. If you don't, then just delete it. But hopefully you'll enjoy doing the silk screens as much as I have. To get started, you need a piece of clay. I've already got this one silk screened. And you're just going to cut that out to make beads. But if you've never worked with silk screens before, they're super easy. Sculpey has this super easy kit, and you're just going to want to take the silk screen itself, make sure you put the shiny side down, and I know Polyform has this on their website as well, but I just thought I'd show it. Now off to the side here, what you can't see is the fact that I do have some water. When you silk screen, you immediately want to take these off of your clay, and you do want to dip them in water so you don't gum up your screens. It comes with the paint that you just saw me apply, the screen, and this little spatula. And it's really just this easy. I'm just putting the paint on and coloring through all the areas. You can see the clay underneath, so I know all the areas that I need to hit with the paint. That looks pretty good. And you peel it off. As I said, then you just want to put it in water. So you have to set that aside and let it dry. So I'm going to move that off to the side and go back to this sheet. Now this one is already dry. And for the Mobius beads, I'm using a 1-inch cutter. And you just find little areas. The clay is rolled out on the thickest setting of the pasta machine, and just punch it out. Now I want to get as many pieces as possible out of this sheet, so I'm going fairly close together. The other shapes that you saw me make was just with the oval cutter. And that's kind of fun too. I cure those over a Snapple bottle, and it makes a really nice drape. So for the Mobius bead, it's just this simple. You take your 1-inch square and you fold up the two ends in opposite directions. So I like that this has a lot of pattern here. I'm going to pull this out, and at the same time I'm going to pull the other corners the opposite way. Now, when I'm making these beads, you obviously have to do this with pretty soft clay. This is Primo. It's been conditioned. It's a Primo Pearl. Once I get it to about this point where I kind of see the direction that I'm going, I've got the bead pin. This came with the bead baking tray, the bead baking tray. You're just going to center this. With my cane slices, I've got some long glass tube beads that I put in there, and that works out kind of well. But with this particular bead, I really wanted the thin slice, and I didn't think I would have enough room to sandwich the large glass bead in the middle. So that's why I'm just using the bead pin. And you want to make sure that you really roll it out and get it nicely attached at both ends. If you don't, especially this end where the paint is, it could pop open during the baking process. So you want to make sure you get that nice and snug, and then just make sure it twirls. I do set it off to the side before I bake it, because I can get about 3 of these on the same bead pin. So I'm just going to do this one again. Now, I'm really liking the silk screens, and another person that just came up with some great silk screens is Helen Briel. And I've got a bunch of her rubber stamps, and I can't wait to order the silk screens. They're absolutely beautiful. And since I've been playing with this technique, I found that I really liked it. So I'm going to order some of hers as well. But there's just so many silk screens out there. Karen Woods is one of our guild members up at the West Coast Florida Guild. And with that, there's also silk screens available. I apologize about the phone ringing. Gotta love telemarketers, and it's that time of day. So now I'm going to cut out 2 more pieces here, because from watching Helen Briel's tutorials, I discovered this wonderful product called pan pastels. Now, on the beads that I made earlier, I went back and finished those with the Krylon pen. That's kind of a nice thing, but I thought, hey, wait, let me get out these pan pastels. I saw Helen using them in her tutorial, and I thought, well, I've got these, so let me try them. So you are seeing me do this for the first time. I love the pan pastels and other applications. So I'm going to see how the corners turn and if this comes off on my fingers, because if I can do this step prior to baking, it'll make the bead assembly, I hope, a little better. So you can see I've just kind of put the pan pastels around the edges. And I'm going to go on the back side too, because you do see some of that. Now I can see that it's getting my fingers messy, so this might not turn out so well, but we're going to try it. Now, again, I'm pulling the corners to opposite ends. And once I get it to the point where I can see it's coming along nicely, I'm going to go ahead and poke the bead pin through the middle, just like that. Give it a little twist. It's a lot easier to make your hole before you pinch your corners than to try to go back afterward. I know it's kind of hard with the camera to see, but you really do need to pinch these ends together. You don't want them too pointy. Now I like the way that turned out with the pan pastels on the edges, so I'm going to bake that and just see how it comes out. So there you go. How to make a Mobius bead. You can see the difference in the two. The pan pastel did kind of get all over the place, so I'm not sure that that's a way to go. And then I can see it's not wanting to pull together. So I might have to go back and do it afterwards. I did have a couple of the beads come apart in the baking process, and I was able to glue them together with some super glue. So even if this doesn't hold perfectly well together, I know I can fix it when it comes out. But who knows, that might look really nice after baking. So whether you have Helen's silk screens or Sculpey's silk screens or anybody else's, give them a shot. Try making this Mobius bead. It's really fun and quick, and it goes together quite nicely. Just make sure your corners are pulling from side to side. Or get out some of those cane slices, We all have extra cane that we just don't know what to do with. Slice that up real thin. Make sure it's very well warmed up. Hold it in your hands. And you can do the same thing. I like the 1-inch cutter. It seems to work the best for me. But there are lots of different sizes, so play around with different sizes of squares and see which works best for you. Again, it's Kim Hale, Adventures in Polymer Clay, and thanks for playing along with me today. Take care.